So go ahead, Pat, again, if you don't mind.
Okay, so if I do my 10
Yes.
quizzes and by some miracle I get 10 points on all of them.
Or by simple hard work.
Right.
Yes.
So I got my 10 quizzes.
Yes.
And I got 100%. Am I done with my
You
quizzes?
can be done, exactly, you can be done.
Okay.
But here's why I don't think you will be.
Okay.
Most students, when I didn't have a mandatory number on quizzes, until this term, you could do as many or as few quizzes as you wanted to. Almost 95% of all my students did almost all of them, regardless, because they tend to pull grades up. People generally do well on them, and when they do well on them, people's overall averages go higher.
Right.
So if you get 10s out of 10s on all of them, that's fantastic. But people will still do more, because what that does is it knocks down the value of the exams and the projects in your overall grading scheme.
Oh, it does do that.
Well, think about why, mathematically, right? You've got 200 points of exams, 100 points of projects. That's fixed, that's not changing. And if you do 100 points of 100 points of quizzes, that means the quizzes are now 25% of your total, which means the exams and the projects are 75% of your total. If you do more quizzes, that means the quizzes now make up a larger percentage of your overall grade, and the exams and projects are a smaller part of
So
your
that
overall
percentage
grade.
is going to grow. It's not going to stay.
The percentage of the quiz value, it has to. Mathematically, it has
Right.
to. Because you have 100% of your grade. If more of it becomes quizzes, the projects and exams have to be less in percentage-wise. They're still 300 points, but that 300 points becomes less than 75% of the overall total.
Because you're not just going to count 10. You're going to
No, I'm
count
going to count
them all.
anything you
Oh,
submit.
got it.
Yes,
All right.
sir.
All right.
Anything you submit. Also, speaking of that, I also added, there's a thing called the rainy day coupons, which I haven't talked about much yet. If you had me before, I changed one to be for quizzes.
I looked at it last night and I didn't see that.
I just uploaded it. It might have been
Okay.
last night.
Okay.
There should be 3 now. There's a
Alright.
pink, yellow, or pink, blue, and green one again. I'll talk more about that on Thursday. Yeah, because you're starting 2 more quizzes on Thursday. But it applies to the fact, when Pat said, so by some miracle, if I turn in 10 and get 10 points, and you probably will, honestly. But if you turn in one and say, like, get a 2 out of 10 on it, there's a coupon that's going to be a one-time use only thing that allows you to correct that and get the full 10 points on it. So you can resubmit after seeing the solutions, after talking with people again and all that kind of stuff, and resubmit and get the points back. I want you to learn, right? I don't want a grade to be a punishment. I want it to be an assessment and a measuring stick that you can. It's kind of. Anybody got any rock climbers in here? Okay, we got a couple rock climbers. There's stuff called on-site climbing, where you walk up to a rock climb, you look up, I think I can climb that, and then you try to climb it. And sometimes what happens?
You don't.
Sometimes you fall. You take a whip, you fall, whatever. And some climbers then get pissed, pull the rope, pull their draws and run, or leave their draws and run. Me, I hang on the rope for a while, go, yeah, I should have grabbed that crib. Yeah, but I'm not strong enough. So I'm gonna go out right a little bit, grab the jug. You try again, right? You get the data, you go for it cold, you miss it, you fall off. Then you look at it and go, okay, let me try it a different way. That's the extent of the coupons for the course, are allowing you to check out the holds again, readjust yourself, and try again. So that's what I want assessment to be in this class. I want it to be plenty of time to do it, first of all the resources at your disposal, second of all. But then in a couple cases, if something terrible happens, 10 weeks is a long time, things can go wrong, you can get sick, you might not be able to meet your study groups and things like that. I want you to have those play it again cards or do-over cards for one for a project, one for an exam, and one for a quiz. I saw a hand. Galena? Vivica. Damn it, I didn't, well, the vowels were correct. Go ahead.
So if we do get 2 out of 10 on one, but we submit 15 and get 10 out of 10 on the other ones, then
If you give me a quiz, you've allowed me to count it in your grade. I'm not going to take your top 10, I'm going to take them all.
right. So, but if we submit 15 and get 10 out of 10 on most of them, then we don't really need to worry about going back.
Mathematically, not so much. Yeah, Vivica's got a very good point in that because they're only 10-point quizzes, by the end of the term, you could theoretically hand in a quiz and get a 0 on it, and it probably wouldn't move your grade all that much. Because let's say you've turned in 15 quizzes, and you get a 0 on one of them. So you've got 140 points in quizzes, supposing you get 10s on them. You've got 100 points in projects and 200 points in exams, and you've probably done pretty well on all that stuff. You could hand in a 0, and that's not going to move your grade up. It's going to move it down, but it's going to move it down insignificantly compared to if you get a 0 on an exam, which you don't. So yeah, honestly, you can also let it slide at that point. But the idea is people don't like getting back 2 out of 10 on quizzes. They don't like that. I mean, and this is a way to kind of correct for that. If I'm going to make it mandatory, it feels like I should also give a mandatory or an optional makeup if something happens with one. But yeah, mathematically, Vivica, you're absolutely correct. Haley, yeah.
Can you turn in like this quiz today? Can you turn it on Thursday?
I don't think there's a quiz due today, is there?
No.
Well,
They're all due on Thursday.
If there was a quiz due.
They're due on the due dates.
Okay.
And I try to make the due dates doable enough so that you have enough time to get to everything.
Yeah, but if it's late, can you turn it in?
No.
late? Okay.
That's why I'm keeping the due dates kind of rigid.
Perfect.
Every once in a while, I will push something back. Like I might say, I might extend it. Like suppose for some reason I would want to extend one of the quizzes for Thursday. I'll leave the link where it is, but I'll say you can also turn this in on Tuesday. If it doesn't have that caveat, then they're due on the due dates. But that's the beauty of having like 15 to 20 to 25 of them out there is you turn them in. If you don't get to that one, do some other one.
Yeah.
It doesn't hurt to do that one, even if you're not turning it in for more practice. But as far as the due dates go, just to keep Amber's sanity intact and to keep kind of everything rolling, let's keep it. And plus, it's good for you guys to have due dates. Obviously, it keeps you kind of in line. That's one of the things I heard in my evals last term. It'd be nice if you made these things mandatory, because then I feel obliged to do them. And I was like, okay, I don't really understand that, but that's cool. Let's do it. Let's try it and see what happens. So that's why the due date is kind of part of the process. Fair?
Perfect.
Oh, it's very nice, yeah. All right. These were great questions about the grading, and I know it's weird. It's not the same as everybody else's because it's me. So it's good to get it out in the open and talk about it so we understand what's expected. So I want transparency. I think that's the right word. Please tell me your name again.
Kelsey.
Kelsey, yes.
This is not about grading.
It's not.
No.
Okay.
I just don't think you talked about this the first day. I'm just curious what your background is and why you teach.
Oh, good question. I've been teaching for 20 years. I've got 2 degrees from the University of Delaware, bachelor's and a master's. And I've always wanted to teach math. I play music, semi-pro, lower than semi-pro, but I love mathematics. And I've tried teaching drums and I suck at it. And I had so many bad professors in my college experience. So many bad ones. You know who you are. I can count on one hand not using thumb and most fingers, the ones that were meaningful to me, the ones that kind of lit a fire for me. So I had to light the fire myself quite a bit. And I juxtaposed that with the fact that I love this subject. The subject is so freaking cool. Yet these people are only interested in research and not interested in like having their students be excited by it. I was like, wow, this blows. Like this system is faulty. Like you're paying our salaries, or like, in my case, I was paying their salaries, and yet they're just taking it and spending their efforts doing research rather than like helping me learn math to the best of my ability. And I'm like, that's something that needs to be changed. So me, crusader of one, is gonna go out and do that. But that's pretty much what it is. I fell in love very early on. I used to tutor when I was in high school. I tutored my friends' friends, and then later on in college I would go to the local high schools and tutor them. And just, it's fun watching people get excited about math.
Wasn't your father something?
He's an engineer. Yeah, like an applied mathematician. That was one of those paths I would have gone down, but I mean, I go with my Legos, or with Legos with my son, which is kind of like the engineering. We worked on Death Star last night. That was awesome. Friggin' Death Star, huge set, but it takes like 3 years to finish. So, but I like, I don't know, watching you guys get to work, and especially here, I get it a lot more here than I got it back on the East Coast. I'm not sure if that's just a factor of me listening more now than I did when I was younger, but I hear so many students say I never liked math until I took stat, and I love hearing that because now you love math. It bums me out to hear that because it means you suffered through 12 plus years of an educational system that may have failed you in some way. So my goal is also not just to work here, but also to work with the lower grades and see how we can make things more streamlined. Well, a lot of us are stuck in the Sputnik era of mathematics. Everything's calculus-based. You have to beat the Russians to space. Well, they already won. We got to the moon first, they got in space first, and that's done, and the Cold War's over, and I think we need to reevaluate how we learn mathematics. And so here's punk rock Sean trying to do that. And got my little manifesto on tape. This is good. Good. Yeah. So anyway, that's kind of where I'm at with that. It makes more sense than doing actuarial work for me. I mean, actuarial work might be in my future, but for right now, it's just too much fun being here and kind of uncovering these ideas with you guys. And watching you guys light up about it is pretty rad. So, hope that's an effective answer. Yeah, you have a question? Question, please.
Yeah, I got a question along the same lines. I saw that you have the 3 math courses. Is that what you teach here? 105,
243, 244, and I've kind of designed 105 to be like 242, if you think of it like that. So it's like essentially three, it will be eventually as I dial it in, 3 stat courses kind of sequentially. That's kind of where I'm at with it.
Do you teach any other math?
No, because there's so many freaking stat courses. And I mean, how many different majors do we have? You got nurses, We got nurses, we got engineers, and we got an engineer. We got business, we got natural resources, we got HDFS, we got HHP, yeah? Who else? Soc.
Occupational therapy, it's prereq.
And there's a new one I hadn't heard of before. Thank you, Ariel. Yes. Sociology. No soci in here. Psychology. Couple psychology. Yeah. Who didn't I name?
Exercise and sports.
Exactly. Who else? Did I get them all? That might have been everybody. Some of you might be not declared at this point too, which is totally fine. That's why I can't do any more, because it used to be that only business needed this course for some strange reason. Only business thought statistics was important. So I'd have a class of 15 business students. And Donna would have a class of 15 business students, and then I teach 111 or 65 or whatever else was floating around. And then all one by one, these majors start adding. Need 243. Nursing was the big one. Need 243. It used to be 95,
Yeah.
and now it's 243.
Well, it's just for your bachelor's.
Exactly, but bachelor's used to be 111, and then they switched it to 243. And I'm like, thank God, because that makes so much more sense for a nurse. So when the doctor wants to give you a test, you'd be like, maybe I didn't think about that. I mean, and you'll know why by the end of this course. You'll know why by the end of this course why you might want to think about that. So there's really no other room except for those courses anymore. So and 105 is now. I had a wait list of 15 people this term. So I mean, I don't know, I have to clone me or something.
Make sure you teach 111.
No, I don't. I mean, I appreciate that, except 111, I don't see the point of 111, unless you're going to 112, which most students don't. I mean, that's the problem.